Right, so how should you prepare for the quant section on the GMAT? The first thing you want to do is stop thinking of GMAT quant as math. Especially again for my friends from India, my homeland. Those of you who've taken the CAT and the JEE, GMAT quant is not math. At least not the way you think it is. In fact, I keep hearing this from people who've studied quant, engineers, people who've done their undergrad in math, that the GMAT quant is unlike anything they've seen. And that's absolutely going to be the case because GMAT quant is more reasoning. A lot of the quant questions of the GMAT are actually English questions. If I explain to you what the question is asking, you will be able to answer it quite easily. But that understanding itself will take a lot of doing, and that's what you want to get used to. And I'll actually start this video by giving you a simple question just to make you understand what is the kind of mindset you want to adopt for GMAT quant. So the question is very simple. Let's say there's a football World Cup happening, 64 teams participating, 2 teams will play a match of course, and the format is simple. The winner goes on to play the next match, the loser gets immediately eliminated. 64 teams, that's the format. There won't be any draws or any ties, so every match will have a clear winner and a clear loser. The question is how many matches have to be played before you get one final winner. So how would most of you approach this question? You would use common sense. So 64 teams, 2 teams play a match. So how many games initially? 32 games. What will happen after those 32 games? Half the teams will get eliminated. So 32 teams will get eliminated, 32 will remain. So then how many games? 16 games. So you see you get a progression. 16, 8, 4, 2 and then the final game. Add them all, you will get the correct answer, 63. But now think logically. How many teams did you start with? 64. How many winners did you need? 1. So how many losers do you need? 63. How many losers in one match? 1 loser. So for 63 losers, how many matches do you need? 63 matches, right? So even if you do it through the progression, it doesn't take much time. But my point is, it's the mindset. You don't want to adopt the solving mindset on GMAT quant. A lot of it is critical thinking actually. The GMAT does not test calculation. At any point, if you think you're doing too many calculations, you're making a mistake. They don't give you a calculator because you don't need a calculator. In fact, if they did, it will slow you down, if anything. Even the most difficult questions can be done in 4-5 steps. What those 4-5 steps are, that will take a lot of understanding. But it won't be pages and pages worth of solutions. The OG will give you those pages and pages worth of solutions, but that's because the OG quant explanations are quite lousy. You will still be doing questions from the OG, by the way, but not looking at the explanation. They're quite bad. They're very technical. So I'm assuming you've seen my main video, the 3-stage prep video, right? Stage 1 accuracy, stage 2 time management, stage 3 full length test. That will apply to quant. So you will start by working on your concept. Arithmetic and algebra are the 2 key components of GMAT quant. So you want to get some understanding of those, and if you're working with a good third-party resource, a good teacher, the person won't teach you too much. Like for example, averages. When I teach averages, there's only 3 things that the GMAT will test you under averages, and I discuss only those 3 things. So that's where you will have to use your discretion. Now, I'm not inviting you guys to come and do private tutoring with me. I don't have time, honestly, and I don't do much tutoring these days. So that's not the agenda. But I'm just telling you that a lot of teachers, a lot of companies will teach you too much math. That's not good. That's not required for the GMAT. It's a standardized test. It's very limited in what it is testing, and it tests the same thing over and over again. So if somebody has enough experience in this field, that person will know what is tested, what is not tested in each topic. So you want to find such a person and use that person to work on your concepts, free or paid, whatever. I'm not giving you any names. A word on topic-wise practice. You do want to do topic-wise practice. I do make people do. Like if I teach you exponents, then I'll give you some exponent questions from the OG to practice. And that's where my expertise comes in. I identify those questions and I give them to you. So whoever you're working with, if you're working with a teacher, that teacher should be able to give it to you. If you're doing it by yourself, you can still find those questions, not that difficult. So do topic-wise practice, but only from the OG. That's enough. You don't want to do 100 questions of exponents, 100 of averages, 100 of ratios. Why the hell do you want to do that? Not recommended at all. Even if your math is very, very weak, still not recommended. If your math is very, very weak, what is recommended is check out the GRE and most likely take the GRE. Don't bother with the GMAT. Honestly, it's the same thing. These schools don't care. Why do you care? Yeah, but coming back, give a lot of importance to arithmetic, followed by algebra, absolute values, inequalities. Those are the complicated things. Things like probability, permutation and combination of course get tested, but not that important. The reason I say that is because arithmetic and algebra will be testing you also on easy and medium level questions. And if you get those incorrect, then the damage to your score will be a lot greater than if you get a high difficulty probability or PNC question incorrect. I'm mentioning those two topics, PNC and probability, because I've seen people obsess too much with those and blame them for everything that's going wrong with their prep. So, okay, that's the concept building stage. Once that is done, move to timed section tests. You can absolutely use the Quant OG to create those tests, or just write to me, I'll send them to you. I've got them ready made. You can use the Quant OG for that, absolutely, or use the clunky GMAT testing software if you have access to online questions. You can also use GMAT Club. If they let you filter by official question, nothing like it. That will be the best. The problem with third-party math questions will be a lot of them will teach you too much math, which is not required for the GMAT. Once again, as you do the questions, maintain the error log and try to identify your strong and weak areas, because that will be very relevant when you decide on your test-taking strategy in terms of guessing what to attempt and how much time to attempt. So always keep a track of that for all three modules, Quant, Verbal and DI. What are you good at? What are you not great at? Okay, some more strategy related inputs. Always try to identify two ways of doing every math question. One could be the mathematical way, the other could be the more smart way. You know, use things like picking numbers, back solving, approximation. Approximation is something I've seen people be very scared of, something I use all the time, because that's what a good manager would be expected to do, ballpark, right? So use approximation. There's something I called worst case scenario. Using that logic, you can narrow down to two choices very, very quickly on a lot of questions. So use all of that, get a little creative with quant. Don't limit yourself to the mathematical explanation. And that's where GMAT Club will also be a problem. You search for a question, go to GMAT Club, a lot of the explanation will be very mathematical, like very technical. Not wrong, they're absolutely correct. That's not the only way to do those questions. That's not how I would ever do most of those questions. And keep things in perspective. Like if you've always struggled with quant, let's say in college or earlier in life, then it's highly unlikely that you will suddenly become a quant ace. Won't happen. I've seen that with people. They haven't performed great academically ever, but they expect to get a 705 on the GMAT and a Q90, have realistic expectations. But in fact, I'll go to the extent of saying that if your quant has traditionally been weak, you might actually do very well on the GMAT, because the GMAT quant is not math as you know it. So as long as you approach it with an open mind, you could still do very well. And I've seen that happen with students. One more thing, when you start practicing math from the OG, don't get too excited by the first 50-60 questions, because they will actually be very easy. And if you struggle with those, then you are in big time trouble. Take the last 60-70 questions as more representative of what you can expect to see on the actual test. I'm talking about the OG, right? Because in the OG, the questions are arranged by increasing order of difficulty. And let me repeat, if you've taken the CAT, because I hear it all the time, I've prepared for the CAT, I've taken the CAT, so then the GMAT quant will be a breeze. The two are very, very different. Technically, it is correct to say that the CAT quant is more difficult than the GMAT quant. But because of the adaptive nature of the GMAT and because of the way the question will be worded, it will be as difficult, probably more difficult than whatever you've seen on the CAT. Because CAT is technical math, most of it, not the GMAT. It's different. So don't let your CAT prep make you biased. For those from outside India, CAT is a very popular exam taken by Indians. You guys don't need to bother with that. Okay, the final thing, the quant score is the one that matters the most in admissions. Yeah, keep that in mind. Quant matters the most, then data insights, then verbal. Data insights is still a new section, and we schools know that students are struggling with that a little, so it's still not that important. The quant percentile will be very important, especially if you're targeting the top schools. So your target in quant is at least 85 or 90, probably higher. In terms of number of mistakes, 2 mistakes. 2 mistakes is the upper limit, ideally 0 mistakes, because even the 2 mistakes, I've seen people score 78, 79. The quant scoring is a little weird, let me tell you that. I've seen 2 mistakes give people 78, I've seen 5 or 6 mistakes give 84, 85. So it's a little weird that way. I mean, they will give you some mumbo jumbo about difficulty level and all of that. I still think it's a little random, the quant scoring particularly. But the quant score is the one that will matter the most. You get a 675 with a quant 80, you will struggle to get into the top schools. So, I mean, I know because I do a lot of admissions work. Normally, I'm somebody who will absolutely encourage you to apply with low GMAT scores, but not with a low quant score. So you want a good quant score. So of the 3 sections, quant score will be the one that will matter the most in your admissions. Especially if you're an Indian engineer male, then you definitely want a score of more than 85. Right? So that's how you want to go about your quant prep. Any questions, ask me in the comments below or drop me an email. Cheers everyone.